Alright, in this video we are going to create a validation for the transaction party and the settlement bank account columns. Call it trans party validation, just call it valid, and this one settle bank account valid validation. Okay, let me go all the way to the transaction party. When we enter a transaction number, we should be able to type the transaction party, which is the customer or vendor in the case of purchase or sales invoice, or in case of a bank transaction, it's going to be the withdrawal bank. So basically what we want is two conditions. If, and then let me just go all the way up. It's easier to do it that way. So if I just put condition 1 or condition 2, either one of these conditions holds, we will return 1 so that we can enter the transaction party column. Otherwise, it will be 0. We cannot enter. Go all the way like this, and then we build in these two conditions. So the first condition is going to be wrapped around by an AND. Only two sub-conditions being wrapped around in an AND formula. So the first criteria is going to be the transaction number cannot be blank. Okay, it cannot be blank, and the transaction party is blank. And when a transaction party is blank, the settled bank account is also blank. Okay, that means when you fill in the transaction number, then you can go ahead. And this is the condition 1. Condition 2 is very similar. So let me just rub that and copy the condition 1 to the condition 2. Let me just make it a little bit larger. So in condition 2, we also need to fill in the transaction number. So that is simply the invoice number for your purchase or sales. In the case of bank transaction, it's your withdrawal bank's receipt reference. In the second condition, the transaction party cannot be equal to the settlement bank because your withdrawal bank cannot be the same as your deposit bank. In the case of a sales transaction, your customer cannot be your settlement bank. Otherwise, you won't receive anything. And in the case of a purchase transaction, your vendor cannot be your payment bank. Otherwise, you're not going to pay anyone. Okay? So we have all those one. Let's move on to the settle bank account validation. Actually, I'm going to do it by myself. This time, if, and I need to put an AND. Let me do it on top. Let's say two conditions have to be met. You have to fill in the settlement transaction number, your receipt number, before you enter anything. It's also two conditions, two or conditions. Okay. If they hold, then we return 1 so that we can enter the settlement bank transaction. Otherwise, return 0 so that we cannot enter the transaction validation. And the first condition is your settled transaction number validation has to be 1. I can do it the other way. So your settled transaction number has to be entered. You cannot leave it blank, right? So this one cannot be blank, and we need the AND. Okay. I'll enter to put down the condition 2. So the settled transaction number has to be filled in and comma inside the AND formula, and the settled bank account has to be blank. This is the first condition. So if you enter your settled transaction number and you didn't fill in your settled bank account, then it's okay. You can go ahead to enter your settled bank account. Or this is the condition 2. Copy the condition 1 to the condition 2. When you fill in your settled transaction number, your settled bank account cannot be the same as the transaction party, right? That's easy because your withdrawal bank cannot be the same as your deposit bank, right? And your customer cannot be yourself. That's the case. So we have enter. Let me add a validation to the transaction party. Okay, Alt-DL to bring up the data validation, and then allow custom. Inside the formula, let me go all the way to the transaction party validation. So this one, BA8 has to be equal to 1 before you enter. Okay, press OK. When you finish the first one, then I press Ctrl C and then Shift N down arrow again, down arrow until you select the whole transaction party column and then right click a special validation. Let's say for this one, enter bank free so that it has the same name as the settled bank account. See if I can go ahead. So I should expect a warning. Oops. So this one, just rub it and then I press bank free. So because I have the same name as the settled bank account, so I can't go through. If I put bank 1, then it's okay. This one is good. Then we move forward to the settled bank account. Simply press Alt DL to bring up the validation and then allow custom. Left click the formula, go all the way to the settled bank account validation, which is BB8. So BB8 equals 1, press OK, and then this time, let me go to the settled bank account. Left click the cell, Ctrl C, just select the whole column. Right click, paste special and validation. Oops, save it. Let's say if I haven't entered a settled transaction number, see if I can still enter the settled bank account. No, I can't because I have to enter a settlement transaction number. Oops, you know what? I can't enter the same settled transaction number. Let me just do settlement 3. This time let me enter the same bank name, bank 1. I can't do it, right? Because I can't have the same name as the transaction party. I have to enter a different bank. Okay, so that is the validation. So in the next episode, we will be moving on to the settled transaction item. Actually, this one is purely the bank account. So I'm going to create a brand new bank account based on the chart of account that we created before. Stay tuned. Thank you.